So welcome to this Q&A session for support staff, but we realize people wear lots of hats in ABE, so we can handle some instructional questions as well. Just to answer a few logistical things right up front. Yes, this is being recorded. Yes, there will be a handout that we will share with you. We will also send you the handout and the slides and a link to the recording later this week. And we're a really small group, so please use the Zoom chat or just unmute yourself to ask questions. I do have a few things prepared just as a review and a few points that I wasn't able to cover in the training that we'll go over, but then we can spend most of the time just looking at the platform and answering your questions. We'll introduce ourselves. I'm Elizabeth Bennett. I'm the statewide digital learning specialist at Literacy Minnesota. We also have Nick and Katie with us this morning.
Hello, I'm Nick Colson. I also work at Literacy Minnesota at Open Door Minneapolis as a digital navigator, and I'll mostly find myself in a support or admin role for this platform, Ellii. And with me is Katie Miller.
Hi, I'm Katie. I also work at Literacy Minnesota with Elizabeth and Nick, and I'm also in Open Door Minneapolis. And same to Nick, I find myself in a support/admin role for Ellii.
And we are members of the statewide digital learning team, and we receive a supplemental services grant, which is state funded, not federally funded. So we are here for you, and we love it when people contact us. We love working with teachers and trying to answer your questions and troubleshoot and help with whatever you need help with. So I'll just drop our help desk email in the chat. Please use it anytime. So like I said, we'll do a little bit of quick review. We'll talk about how to support learners with using Ellii independently for distance learning, and then we'll have plenty of time for your questions. If you wouldn't mind just sharing in the chat, what is your role at your program? Do you have any teaching responsibilities? We can look a little more at some teacher-focused aspects of the platform if that is helpful. And I'm also curious if your sites are using Google Classroom or Canvas as a learning management system for your learners. You can also just unmute and use your microphone if that's easier. Thank you. Kim is the data entry specialist at Tri-County Community Corrections. Nice. So not instructional responsibilities. Tracy, I know, is the manager up north and periodically has teaching duties, and they use Google Classroom, but maybe not for much longer. Okay. And Melinda is an admin assistant in Moorhead. Great. All right. So I'll show you a video in a minute just so you can kind of get an idea of how your teachers might be using this platform. And just as a reminder, Ellii is a lot of things. You can choose to use it just as a curriculum resource library. You can also use it as a distance learning platform for learners to work independently outside of class time and earn distance learning proxy hours for your program. Or personally, I think I would recommend doing both. I think it has a lot of really nice features that allow you to use it both in class and then outside of class as an extension of learning. So I'll show you this quick little 3-minute video. It's kind of focused on teachers, but I think it'll be helpful for everyone just to get an idea of how your teachers will be using it.
So, you want to learn about Ellii. Let's take a look. At Ellii, you'll always find highly engaging, ready-made content for all your classroom needs in just a few clicks. Whether you're teaching young children, teens, or adults, absolute beginner or advanced learners, there's a lesson for everyone. Here's how it works. Let's say you need a lesson for your adult intermediate conversation class. Easy. Just browse our discussion starters section, click on a lesson you know will grab your students' attention, and add it to your class. Or maybe you're teaching young learners who all need to improve their reading and vocabulary skills. No problem. Just dive into our discovery section and select a topic you're sure they'll love. At Ellii, finding the right content at the right time is simple. You can search for something specific, like a particular theme or target structure, and choose from a variety of materials, including lessons, resources, flashcards, or videos. You can also browse by lesson category, such as mini debates, story prompts, everyday dialogues, and famous people. Or you can take a look at our curated collections and drill down to something very specific with our sort and filtering tools. And when you find the right lesson, presenting it in class or assigning it for homework is super simple too. You can print or broadcast our content in document form, or present the digital version with interactive tasks. To assign something to your students on their own devices, just hit that Add to Class button. The lesson will automatically land in your class's lesson planner, right in the prepping lane, keeping you organized, well prepared, and on top of everything that's going on in your class. And when you're ready, drag that lesson into your teaching lane. Now, your students have instant access to work on their assignment in class or at home. You can also easily post it to Google Classroom, Canvas, Moodle, and more. When your students complete their assignment, you'll have immediate access to their results, where you can browse the reports by student, by assignment, or by task. We've also built a grade feed tool that lets you add personal feedback in one convenient inbox. You can check your students' answers and leave them a grade, a star rating, a note, or a voice memo, so they always know exactly how they're doing. Oh, and did we mention we've got a spectacular library of illustrations and videos too? In our flashcard library, you can instantly present images to elicit, teach, and reinforce vocabulary or grammar structures, or personalize the images to build your own flashcard sets, card games, and picture dictionaries. And our video library has a huge collection of topics, ranging from grammar and vocabulary to dialogues and pronunciation, to play in class or assign as homework. So that's Ellii. Better content, better tools, better outcomes for all your English language learners.
Ellii.
Yeah, Tracy, go ahead.
So I noticed that it had like a grade equivalent to it. However, does the student see that grade equivalent?
No, and you as the teacher can adjust in your settings if you want to see things by like K-12 grade level, or I have mine set to the NRS educational functioning levels.
Oh, yep.
So like I think that's what I would recommend in most instances. And then on the student side, most of the time, if they see a level at all, it's just beginning, intermediate, advanced.
That's wonderful, because I hate, the idea of, oh, you're in the first grade.
I know. I don't like that either.
Yeah, perfect. I like that. Thank you.
So Ellii obviously is designed primarily for English learners, but there is content in a lot of different areas that might also be helpful for ABE learners, especially maybe some of those current events things. They have a few science, social studies, citizenship and civics things as well. Most things in the platform are available both as a printable PDF and as a digital task. Something nice about the PDFs is that you can annotate them directly within the platform. I always used to like take screenshots of everything and put it in Jamboard and then annotate in Jamboard, but you don't have to do that. You can do everything right within Ellii. The thing to remember with that is that the annotations will not be saved once you close the activity, but it is possible to download your annotated PDF before you close it, and then you'll just have it in a PDF format. A few other things to know about PDFs. Some materials don't have both formats available. They have only the digital or only the PDF. If it is a PDF activity, you can still assign it, share it with your learners. And learners will be able to view it and annotate it just like the teacher can. But also, just like with the teacher account, their annotations are not saved, and any work they do on the PDF is not going to be visible to the teacher. And perhaps most importantly, time working on PDFs will not be included in your proxy hour time on task report. So for that reason, you might tell your teachers, just don't even bother assigning PDF only activities within Ellii. If it's something that you want to just provide to your learners as a reference, as a resource to go back to later, but you're not planning to use it for distance learning, maybe the teacher wants to just print it off and give it to them, or take a screenshot and send it in WhatsApp or whatever communication tool you're using, or post it in your LMS just as a PDF. Also, teachers are able to edit the digital assignments, so you can choose to remove or hide the PDF activity, or you can write some custom instructions to the learners and just tell them, don't write on this because I won't be able to see your work. So just as an example from the teacher view, this study pack has mostly digital tasks, and you can tell they have the little taskbar that says what percent the learner has completed. But the ones that are PDF only do not have that taskbar, and so I just hid those from my test class. This is what it looks like when you go in and edit an assignment. Teachers have the ability to give a due date, to add some custom instructions for learners, and then if they click that edit tasks button, that's where they can hide certain activities. I think you can also change the sequence of activities if that is useful. Just an important reminder, we know that in ABE, it's really important not to double count contact hours and distance learning proxy hours. Ellii does not have a way to differentiate between in-class and out-of-class work in the reports. So if learners are using Ellii during class time, which is usually a good thing, I think we would encourage that, because learners are going to mostly probably need some support to get comfortable navigating the platform. So that's great, but your teachers need to just, when they take attendance, don't count that time in the contact hour attendance. So, plan, we're going to use Ellii in the last 30 minutes of class today. And then when you enter your attendance, everybody left 30 minutes early. And then you'll still get that time. It's just going to show up in the Ellii proxy hours report instead of in your contact hour attendance. Any questions about that point? Okay. Ellii is a time on task platform, which means that unfortunately, we're not allowed to count distance learning hours for anything that is printed and given to students in paper form. I realize that can be kind of a bummer depending on your context and what devices and internet access you have available to you. The good news is Ellii is pretty mobile friendly, and we'll get a chance to look at that in a few minutes here. So even if learners don't have computers or tablets, they can still do pretty much everything on their phones. And they can also, go to the library or come and use your computer lab to earn hours that way. A few miscellaneous things. In the training, we talked about using that standard format of the 2 letters for your site and then the learner's SID student ID number as their username. That is just for manually created accounts. So if you as the admin assistant or if your teachers are creating usernames, we would like them to use that format if possible. But remember, that's not the only way to create accounts. You can have learners enter a class code or scan a QR code or get an email invitation and create their own accounts. And if you have learners create their own accounts that way, then their email address becomes their username, and you don't really have control over it. Also, there might be situations where really beginning learners, like accurately typing those 2 letters and all the digits of their ID number, might be really difficult. And so we don't want the username to be a barrier to using the platform. So if you need to come up with something easier to type so that your learners can still access the platform, that's fine. I realize I do not have control over everything. We just want to keep things as organized as possible. So even if someone has a different username format, at least they'll still be attached to your class, and the class will have those 2 letters so we can have some idea of where that learner account belongs. Tracy, yeah, so Tracy's question is if we are using anything paper, anything printed, we should do it during the synchronous or in-person class time. Yes, not as distance learning proxy hours. It's perfectly fine to give papers to learners to use outside of class, just as a reference or just as a resource, but you would not be able to count distance learning time for the paper activities. Tracy mentioned you're using Google Classroom. Ellii links sort of with Google Classroom. It's not a full integration. Mostly teachers are just going to be posting links to assignments in Google Classroom. But learners still will have to have an Ellii account and be signed into their Ellii account to access their assignments. A couple people have Googled Ellii and discovered that they also have this app product. But that is actually, it's a totally separate product. It's not included in our statewide plan. And it's a paid product, so don't have your learners start paying for it. There's no reason to do that. The content that's available in the app is almost, I think, almost identical to what you're already getting on the statewide plan. So the main difference is that learners just have to access it through their internet browser, not through an app that they download from the App Store on their phone.
Yeah, and later on, just to add to this point, Katie and I will be showcasing Ellii on our devices. It will look like an app. It will act like an app. It is not an app. It is a bookmark.
Yep. Yeah, so and there are some resources linked in the handout that we'll share with you that show how to make bookmarks or shortcuts on different types of devices. There are a lot of videos, which is fantastic. However, the videos are all in English, which can be challenging for beginner level learners. The good news is that you can slow down the playback speed of almost all of the videos, just like you would with a YouTube video. There's a little gear wheel icon, and you can adjust how fast the video is playing there. The exception is in Ellii Solo. There are these shorts videos, very much like TikTok style videos, but you get to learn a little grammar point or a little pronunciation thing. They're really fun. Those, I don't think you can control the playback speed, but you can turn on captions if that is helpful. And then we already talked a little bit about the NRS and grade levels, and there are links in the slides, which you'll get that have the full like chart explaining all the leveling and then how to adjust your settings. All right, any other questions before we keep going? All right, so we want to talk about supporting learner success with Ellii. And often I know, especially in the smaller programs, it's the support staff who are working with learners to get them started on DL platforms and having, to reset passwords and help learners navigate things. We will be quite upfront with you and say that Ellii is more difficult to navigate than MobiMax or maybe some other platforms that were designed for young children. I think Ellii is great because it is designed, it's a much more mature looking interface, and it's much, I think, more appropriate and appealing to adults. But it does assume a basic level of digital literacy skills. So I think the most important thing to keep in mind is that this is your opportunity to practice and model for learners having a growth mindset, having curiosity about like, okay, I wonder what we could do differently. This isn't working yet, but let's try a few things and figure it out together. It's going to be an investment of time upfront to support your learners, but I really think that it will be a good investment of your time. You're allowing learners to access additional opportunities for learning outside of class time, and you're also teaching really valuable and transferable digital skills. A few key points from the handout. I'll go ahead and put this in the chat. This handout is all about supporting learners to be successful using Ellii independently. I think my number one recommendation would be to make a learner account for yourself and just play around with all the different types of activities. Try to get a feel for, okay, like this is going to be something learners are really going to like. This is going to be something they're probably going to struggle with. How can we make a plan to support them with that? Ellii's pricing structure is based on teacher seats, not learner seats. So it's no problem to make extra learner accounts. Make as many as you need for you and your colleagues. Everybody should play around with it and just get comfortable using it as a learner. And then, yeah, there's this idea of, you're going to need to go slow at first so that you can go fast and it's easy later on. Expect to devote time for this and make a plan. I don't think this should fall on any one staff member because it's going to just be too much. You've got learners using different types of devices with different settings and widely different levels of experience and comfort navigating online platforms. So this should really be a team effort. Like think about how you as a team of staff and volunteers at your site can work together to support learners with this. Be sure that you're teaching key vocabulary and skills in manageable chunks. Maybe the first time you introduce this platform to learners, they're not even touching a device, right? You're just giving them an idea, like this is a website that you'll be using, and this is the name of the website, and this is your username, and this is your password, and let's just practice and get comfortable with those terms and those concepts. And that's enough for one day. And then the next time you add a little bit more and just keep building. So you don't want to overwhelm people. And be sure to include adequate time for learners to practice. It's probably not going to be enough to just model something and have the learners do it one time and then expect that they will always be able to do it from that point on. And like I said before, try to collaborate. I know some of us work at really small sites and there aren't a lot of staff members, but anyone you can ask for support, your volunteers, if you have interpreters or EAs or paraprofessionals or anyone you can get to help, ask for help.
Yeah, and if you are running short on time, later Elizabeth will drop online resources from MNABE. So if, for example, you can't have the big get together, there will be online trainings and orientations like these that you can send them. I see Tracy has a question.
I do, because we also use Burlington English.
Okay.
But we were thinking about with Ellii as part of like a like a custodial or environmental services or something like that, we were told. And so we normally have a high flex class. So some of the students we never ever see because they're online. And normally it's my instructor, Teresa Luther Dolan, is and then is the instructor and in person, and I'm the online support. I live 4 hours from Teresa, you know, and so is this something that maybe we really think about instead of having the learner hop on and participate in the Ellii? Maybe we keep them in Burlington English, but we use as the synchronous and in-person materials. Does that make more sense?
I think you might just have to explore the platform, you and Teresa together, and see what you think. I think either way can work. If your learners have the digital skills to join an online class, then it's probably doable to teach them how to navigate the platform remotely. We'll take a look. I mean, but if they're handling, joining the Zoom or joining the Google Meet and using the chat and following links that the teacher is sending out, they can learn this too. I would just, you're going to have to make a plan.
Right. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So because I'm thinking, oh gosh, this isn't going to be, but that makes sense. I mean, and we
No, and
normally
actually,
use,
Tracy, I
yeah,
know, I remember that class for hospitality workers, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah, and Ellii actually has some content specifically for I think there's even a course like soft skills for hospitality workers,
Oh,
and
excellent.
English for working in a hotel and things like that. So yeah, I think
Excellent.
this could potentially be a really good fit.
Good. So we could use them for them both.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mhm.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, to chime in a little, between Ellie's resources and Burlington's resources, you'll find a lot of helpful reinforcement and redundancies. I'm expecting that, especially because both Burlington and Ellie will do things like printouts or homework assignments. So we mentioned the PDF assignments earlier in this presentation. Burlington should have that too. So it's kind of a both and situation from my perspective, but admittedly, whatever makes sense for your particular context should carry the day.
Mhm. So I think without further ado, I will stop sharing my slides and turn it over to Katie and Nick. And they're going to show you both on an iPad and on a phone what the platform looks like from the learner's perspective. I hope I haven't talked it up too much and made it sound too intimidating. I think, if learners are already using Burlington English and able to join an online class, you can totally teach this as well.
Okay, give me 1 second to get everything shared up. Oops. Okay, so this is what Ellii is gonna look like on an iPad. To get here, you just Google Ellii and the login page comes up. In the top right corner, you'll see login, and you'll have the option to log in as a student or as a teacher. Today, we're gonna log in as a student and look at the student view a little bit. So we'll log in, and this is the page that will be helpful to bookmark for students. To do that, in the top right corner, we'll do the share button, and then we can add it to our home screen. The name gets a little lengthy, but when you're done, it will show up on the home screen just like an app would. And then students will be brought right to the login page, just like with MobiMax, if you're adding that to their devices. So I'll get logged in. So this is what you will see when you get logged in. The iPad looks almost identical to what you'll see on a laptop or a computer. So you can see immediately any classes that students are enrolled in, or they'll have the option to join a class via the class code. In the test class, you can see my teacher has assigned me several, excuse me, assignments. Like Elizabeth said, you can very clearly see which activities are only available on PDF. They say PDF only, and they're kind of grayed out. I have the option to see them, but obviously I don't have the option to do anything online with it. If we go to past, it will show the previous lessons that I've completed or ones that have lapsed in class, so we're not using them anymore. So they're still accessible to students, but anything current that you should be working on will be under the current tab. And then one note that we talked about, or the DL team has been talking about, is if we go to my profile as the student does have options to edit different parts of their profile. So we're not anticipating students to be changing their usernames or anything, but they do have the option to do that. They can also change their profile picture. Ellii has a very cute assortment of different avatars to choose from. And then one final note on the iPad is you might see a placement test in current that's assigned to me. This is different than the placement test that you will take or a student would take in Ellii Solo. And I believe the placement tests take about 30 minutes. Elizabeth, is there anything else you'd like me to go over on the iPad?
No, that's great. Thank you, Katie. Um, let's see what it looks like on a phone now.
All right, we'll be taking a second field trip to my phone, who should have screen sharing permissions. All right, welcome. So, like Katie mentioned, Ellii looks like an app, works like an app, is not an app. It will require an internet connection. On a phone device, I usually rely on the password. This is the admin password, so I'm going to have to use my student password. There we go. On a phone, everything's more rectangular based on your phone screen. One thing to take note of if you're setting up for ELLs, you'll probably have to navigate all the phone and iPad imagery. I mean, all the iOS or Android in another language. So when you're looking at adding Ellii or any other platform, it might be useful just to review what these options are called in something like Spanish. The class is largely the same between the iPad and the iPhone. And on an Android, we're not anticipating it to look very much different.
We did discover with the internet browsers, if you're using an Apple product, it works best to use the Safari browser. And if you're using an Android product, it's probably best to use the Chrome browser. We had a couple issues trying to use the Chrome browser on an Apple product. It didn't work very well.
Yeah, my sharing ended prematurely. Perhaps a sign to get a new phone. Student devices will come in all sorts of shapes and conditions, so in
Yes.
some ways this is more realistic than intended. But yeah, so there might be some minor browser compatibility errors. And perpetual third parties like Edge and Microsoft. If a student has a laptop, I would recommend those, but otherwise it's usually okay just to go with the defaults. So these are the classes. Let's try going to Ellii Solo. You'll direct a student to go up to their profile with their name. And then I don't see Ellii Solo like I expected. Uh-oh. Guess who hasn't been practicing? Is it under my profile? Did I lose access to Ellii Solo?
Well, this is embarrassing. I think yes, we have because I think it's an issue with our test trial account expiring and our paid one doesn't start till tomorrow. So let me see if I can just find the public view of Ellii Solo to give you an idea what that looks like.
Yeah. While embarrassing, it also highlights something. If your subscription lapses, students will still be able to access Ellii, I believe, from their end.
There seems to be a little bit of a grace period. But yeah, I'm not able to see my classes anymore, which is a little disconcerting. But hopefully tomorrow, August 1st, that will change and we'll all be on the paid regular plan. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. This is just the public preview of Ellii Solo. So you can see they have done a lot of work to make it friendly for mobile devices, which is fantastic. Ellii Solo is self-study, so learners can sign in and then choose whatever is interesting to them, whatever they want to work on. The teacher does not give assignments through Ellii Solo. The assignments are through the classroom side that we just saw on Nick and Katie's devices. So one of the things that I really, so typically when a learner signs in, you can see on the little phone icon here, they'll have a choice to either go to the yellow Ellii, that's where they get assignments from their teachers, or the blue Ellii Solo. And so that is something you'll definitely want to teach, is how to navigate back and forth between the two. And potentially a learner could have more than one class if they have more than one teacher using Ellii. So also get to the yellow Ellii area, but then also select the correct class so you can find the correct assignment. It's a little hard to tell here, but they have all of these shorts videos. They really do feel a lot like TikTok or Instagram Reels. Can get kind of addictive. But maybe that's okay because your students are learning grammar and pronunciation and getting distance learning proxy hours. So, so that's just a little taste of Ellii solo. I think at this time we can just open it up for any other questions you have. This is your time, so ask away.
So was yesterday's presentation, that was for staff who were actually going to really jump in it and use it?
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then I also noticed that it just says we are going to, when creating an account, we use a password that MobyMax, that is used for MobyMax.
So yeah, so on the handout here, if you go down to page 4, this was just something that I made when I was teaching with Ellii in another school district. This was before we had the statewide plan. And so this is just an example. This is if learners are creating their own accounts. My learners were already using MobyMax, so I was trying to make it as easy as possible. And it's like, just use the same password that you use for MobyMax. If that works for you, then by all means do that. But actually, if learners are creating their own accounts, they will create their own password. So
Okay.
I don't have a lot of control over what they
Okay.
ultimately do.
So it does mean that AEOA, because we also Melissa Brusacorum uses MobyMax. So it doesn't mean that we should all that I should be reaching out to Melissa and going, hey, Melissa, give us your password because we're going to use the same password. This means
No.
if the student
Yeah.
uses the account. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, the MobyMax and Ellii are completely separate. So any login information that you create for one platform is independent of the other, unless you intentionally make them the same.
I'm glad I asked because boy, that would be embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's like, dang.
And then, yeah, so feel free to make a copy of this, and obviously you're going to want to modify it with your own class information that your learners don't need to join my old Burnsville class. And I included a little, some screenshots about how to do activities, especially these matching vocabulary activities are not intuitive. You would expect that they would be like a drag and drop activity, but they're not. You have to tap the word first and then tap where you want it to go. And then I also included some instructions about, you got to use the arrows to get to the next question. And the immersive reader tool may be helpful if there's not already built-in audio. You can use that immersive reader, the book icon, to hear the text spoken aloud. And again, this was for students creating their own accounts. If you are creating the accounts manually, you wouldn't need to go through this left-hand column with learners.
Oh, okay. And then just to reiterate, the learner accounts, I mean, if we wanted 1 million people, which is ridiculous, but 1 million people to be part of Ellii as learners, that's fine. It's just we only have a certain amount for teachers.
Correct.
Okay.
And actually, with our pilot program this year, we are able to have both unlimited teachers and unlimited learners.
Oh, okay.
That may change in the future, where we would be limited in the number of teacher accounts. But the way Ellii does their pricing, each teacher on an organization plan can have unlimited learners.
Excellent, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, so Kim says, I don't have an account yet. And that is correct. Nobody has an account yet. We are not able to send your invitations until our plan officially begins tomorrow, August 1st. So I will be creating as many accounts as I can tomorrow, and you should watch for an email invitation if you have completed the training. So we are requiring all staff to complete the training first, just in hopes that everything stays a little more organized on this big statewide account. And then once you complete the training, we will send you an email invitation. It'll come from Ellii. It won't come from me or Katie or Literacy Minnesota. But if you have any trouble with that, let us know, and there are other ways to get you an account as well.
Yeah, check those spam folders.
Yes, exactly.
And then how long after you had finished the training before we know if we passed, for lack of a better word?
It'll be as soon as Katie or I or someone on the team can review it. We try to
Okay.
stay pretty on top of them. So yeah, within a day or two, you should get your account and your CUs, hopefully.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, if there aren't any other questions at this time, I'll just move on to a few more reminders. You will receive a follow-up email with all of the materials and an evaluation link. You can complete the evaluation to get a CEU certificate for this Q&A session. There will be 2 Ellii-focused sessions at Summer Institute. Concurrent session 8 on Thursday will be with Lei Kayanuma, who is a rep for Ellii. And then concurrent session 9 on Friday will be with me and Katie. And we will have additional online Ellii trainings throughout the year. And then please save the date. Our digital learning team is very excited. We are doing a Digital Learning Institute, a full day PD event this Friday, October 3rd. So kind of in the model of Language and Literacy Institute or Math Institute. This is part of our supplemental services grant. So it is free, no additional cost for you. All staff and volunteers are welcome to attend. We'll be covering distance learning platforms, digital tools you can use, ways to teach digital literacy. If you have staff who need to fulfill the distance learning basics requirement, that will be one of the strands at this event. So if you attend all of the related sessions at this event, you can fulfill that requirement without necessarily doing the Canvas course, which might be appealing to some people. And then finally, remember we have a Minnesota Adult Education Professional Development YouTube channel. I will put this link in the chat as well. If you subscribe with a Google account, you will get notifications when new videos are posted, and that is where you can go to find this recording and also yesterday's Q&A for instructional staff.
Okay, so our agency no longer allows us to use Gmail. We
Oh.
are using Microsoft 365, so it's Outlook. How do we, how do we, how do we navigate?
Sure. So that would be where you would just use your personal Gmail account
Okay.
instead of a work account.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, we can end a little bit early today if you'd like to get on with your day. Thank you very much for attending, and we hope to see you at Summer Institute and at that Digital Learning Institute in October. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you for coming.